It begins with a deception, a beautiful and ancient lie told by the night sky. We look up into the velvet darkness and we see points of light. They appear serene, close, as if scattered just beyond the highest clouds. For millennia, this was our map, a jewelled ceiling to our world. We felt a sense of connection, of intimacy with these celestial embers. But this intimacy is an illusion, a trick of cosmic perspective. The reality is a terrifying, soul-crushing expanse of utter separation. Each spark is a sun, a system, a galaxy, unimaginably distant. The serene silence between them is not emptiness. It is a chasm of space-time so profound that it challenges the very meaning of the word near. This majestic universe in all its grandeur presents us with a haunting paradox. Is this intricate tapestry of existence our cradle, our grandest opportunity? Or is it the most perfect, inescapable prison ever conceived? The evidence written in the language of physics and mathematics suggests that the very structure of our reality, the fundamental laws that govern everything, are not a pathway to the stars but a set of immutable walls. They are the bars of a cage so vast we cannot see its edges, a system designed, it would seem, to keep us forever confined to our lonely corner of the cosmos. The first and most immediate wall is the most fundamental, distance. But it is not distance as we understand it in our terrestrial lives. Human history is a story of conquering distance. Our ancestors walked out of Africa, their world measured by the horizon. Later, brave mariners crossed impossible oceans, their reality expanding to fill a globe. They charted the unknown, turning terrifying voids into navigable pathways. Each time we redefined the scale of our world, and each time we mastered it. When Galileo first turned his telescope to the heavens, he shattered our celestial ceiling. The planets were revealed not as wandering lights, but as worlds in their own right. Our system became the solar system, a new ocean, vast but perhaps, just perhaps, crossable. We began to dream of visiting Mars, of walking on the moons of Jupiter. And then, in the early 20th century, a man named Edwin Hubble proved that the faint misty smudges in the sky were not nebulae within our own Milky Way. They were entire other galaxies, island universes, each containing billions of suns. The scale of our prison had just expanded by a factor of trillions. The distance to our nearest neighbouring star, Proxima Centauri, is over 4 light-years. This number sounds deceptively small, but it masks a gulf of 40 trillion kilometres. Our fastest probe, the Parker Solar Probe, would take over 6,000 years to make that journey. This is not an engineering problem, it is a condemnation. It is a sentence measured not in human lifetimes, but in the rise and fall of entire civilizations. And this formidable barrier is enforced by the universe's most implacable tyrant, the speed of light, designated by the simple, elegant letter c. The speed of light is not merely a cosmic speed limit that we might one day circumvent. It is the very fabric of causality, the pace at which reality itself is permitted to unfold. To understand its absolute nature, imagine the universe not as a space, but as a perfectly still lake. Every event, a star exploding, a planet forming, you reading these words, is a pebble dropped into the water. The information from that event spreads outwards as a ripple. That ripple travels at a fixed, unchangeable speed. This is the speed of light. Nothing, absolutely nothing, can travel faster than its own ripple of information. You cannot arrive somewhere before the news of your departure, because must always precede effect. This is the fundamental operating principle of our reality. It is woven into the mathematics of Einstein's relativity, a law as foundational as gravity itself. And this law transforms the cosmos from a space to be explored into a series of disconnected islands in time. To send a message to Proxima Centauri and receive a reply would take nearly 9 years. A conversation with a hypothetical civilization in the centre of our own galaxy would require a 50,000-year wait between hello and a response. Generations would live and die between each utterance. Even if we could build a vessel that travelled at 99.9% the speed of light, the journey to the Andromeda Galaxy, our closest major galactic neighbour, would still take over 2.5 million years from the perspective of Earth. Time dilation would protect the travellers, who would experience a much shorter journey, but they would return not to the world they left, but to an Earth so far in the future that humanity itself might be an unrecognisable or even extinct species. It would be a one-way ticket into the abyss of deep time. The speed of light does not just make interstellar travel difficult, it renders meaningful interstellar civilization, a galactic community, a logical impossibility. The universe is, by its very design, a realm of profound and enduring isolation. But let us imagine for a moment that we could somehow defy this tyranny of light speed. Let us assume that some future physics allows for faster-than-light travel, a tearing of the fabric of space-time itself. Even then, we would immediately collide with a second, more practical, but equally insurmountable wall, the wall of energy. The ascent of humanity has been a story of energy consumption. From the first controlled fire that warmed our ancestors, we have climbed an exponential curve. We harnessed the power of wind and water, then unlocked the dense energy of coal and oil. We even learned to split the atom, releasing the power hidden within the heart of matter. Yet all of our achievements, all of our power plants and engines combined, make us little more than cosmic paupers. In the 1960s, the Soviet astronomer Nikolai Kardashev proposed a way to classify civilizations not by their culture or technology, but by their energy budget. It is a scale of staggering ambition. A Type 1 civilization is a planetary one, capable of harnessing the total energy that reaches its home world from its star. This means controlling the weather, capturing every joule of sunlight, and taming geothermal forces. We are currently a Type 0.7 civilization, still centuries away from this planetary mastery. A Type 2 civilization moves beyond its planet to harness the entire energy output of its home star. The most famous theoretical method for this is the Dyson sphere, a colossal swarm of satellites or a solid shell constructed around a star to capture every single watt of its power. The energy available to such a society would be billions of times greater than our own, and a Type 3 civilization is galactic. It commands the energy of its entire home galaxy, perhaps harnessing the power of billions of stars and even the supermassive black hole at its centre. This scale is not just a thought experiment, it is a brutal calculation of the cost of cosmic ambition. The energy required to accelerate a modest starship to a significant fraction of the speed of light is more than the entire human race has produced in its history. To build an Alcubierre warp drive, which theoretically distorts space-time, it might require the energy equivalent of the mass of Jupiter, converted to pure energy with 100% efficiency. These are not figures that we can achieve by building more solar panels or nuclear reactors. These are figures that demand the deconstruction of entire planets, the taming of stars. They demand a Type 2 level of energy mastery. This energy requirement acts as what some have called a great filter. It may be a universal test that every intelligent species must face. Can a civilization manage the transition from a planetary to a stellar energy source without destroying itself through war, environmental collapse, or technological catastrophe? Perhaps the silence we hear from the cosmos, the famous Fermi paradox, is the sound of countless species failing this very test. They reach for the power of the stars but find themselves consumed by the fire. The sheer energetic cost of breaking out of one's home solar system may be nature's ultimate containment protocol, a firewall that keeps nascent intelligences safely quarantined on their worlds of origin until they are mature enough to handle the power, a maturity that perhaps no species ever truly reaches. Yet even if we could somehow summon the energy of a star and bend the laws of light, we face a third wall, one that's growing higher and more impassable with every passing second. This is the wall of cosmic expansion, the very stretching of space-time itself. For most of history, we assumed the universe was static, a fixed and eternal stage. Even Albert Einstein was so convinced of this that when his own equations of general relativity predicted a dynamic, moving universe, he added a cosmological constant to force them into stasis. He would later call it his greatest blunder, because Edwin Hubble, observing those distant island universes, noticed something strange. The light from nearly all of them was shifted towards the red end of the spectrum. This redshift was the cosmic equivalent of a siren's wail receding into the distance. The galaxies were not just moving, they were all flying away from us and from each other. The universe was expanding. The fabric of space itself was stretching, carrying the galaxies along with it like raisins in a rising loaf of bread. This was a staggering revelation, the foundation of the Big Bang theory. But the most profound shock came at the very end of the 20th century. Two separate teams of astronomers were using distant supernovae to measure the rate of this expansion, expecting to find that gravity was gradually slowing it down. Instead, they discovered something that defied all logic. The expansion of the universe is not slowing down, it is accelerating. Something is pushing the cosmos apart, an anti-gravitational force of unknown origin. We have given this mysterious influence a name, though we do not understand it. Dark energy. It appears to be a property of vacuum itself, a ghostly pressure inherent in the fabric of nothingness, and its implications for our future are nothing short of terrifying. This accelerating expansion creates a cosmic event horizon, a point of no return. Galaxies beyond a certain distance are now receding from us faster than the speed of light. Not because they are travelling through space at that speed, but because the space between us and them is being created so rapidly that even a beam of light leaving Earth today will never reach them. They are forever beyond our grasp, and as time goes on, this horizon will shrink. More and more galaxies will cross this threshold, their light red shifting into oblivion until they vanish from our sight as if they had never been. We are living in a brief privileged epoch of the cosmos, a time when we can still see the light from 1 trillion other galaxies. In the far distant future, 1 trillion years from now, our own Milky Way and its gravitationally bound local group of galaxies will be all that remains in our observable universe. The rest will have been pushed beyond the horizon by the relentless expansion. Future astronomers in that lonely epoch would have no evidence that other galaxies ever existed. Their universe would appear to be a single isolated island in an infinite empty void. They would be trapped not just physically, but epistemologically. The truth of the grander cosmos would be lost to them forever. This is the ultimate confinement. The universe is actively isolating us, pulling our potential destinations away from us at an ever-increasing rate. We are not just on an island. We are on an island in an ocean whose currents are all flowing away from the shore, carrying every other landmass away into an unreachable eternal distance. The system is not just locking the doors, it is dismantling the rest of the building. Let us now turn our gaze inward, from the impossibly large to the fragile and small. For even if we overcame distance, energy, and cosmic expansion, a fourth wall awaits, our own biology. We are not creatures of the cosmos. We are creatures of Earth, exquisitely and dangerously adapted to a wafer-thin biosphere on the surface of a single, unremarkable rocky planet. Every aspect of our physiology is tuned to this specific environment. Our skeletons and cardiovascular systems are built to function under a precise gravitational pull of 9.8 meters per second squared. In the microgravity of space, our bones demineralize, our muscles atrophy, and our hearts weaken. Our immune systems become compromised. Our very sense of direction, up from down, is lost. We require a specific mixture of nitrogen and oxygen at a particular pressure to breathe. The vacuum of space offers only instantaneous, explosive death. We are protected from the sun's lethal radiation and a constant rain of high-energy cosmic rays by a magnetic field and a thick atmosphere. Space offers no such shield. Outside this bubble of protection, our DNA is shredded, leading to cancer, cataracts, and neurological damage. We are soft, warm, water-based machines evolved to find food and avoid predators on an African savanna. The cosmos is a realm of hard vacuum, extreme temperatures, and deadly radiation. It is not merely inhospitable, it is actively, violently hostile to everything we are. To survive for any length of time requires us to build phenomenally complex, fragile life support systems, essentially bottling up a tiny piece of Earth and carrying it with us. But the physical vessel is only half the problem. The greater wall may be the software running on our primate brains, our minds, our consciousness, our very intuition about how the world works, were forged in a classical Newtonian environment, We evolved to throw spears, not to calculate quantum wave functions. We think in 3 spatial dimensions and 1 linear dimension of time. Our common sense recoils at the paradoxes of relativity, where time can slow down and space can bend. It utterly breaks down when faced with the bizarre world of quantum mechanics, where particles can be in multiple places at once, and reality only seems to settle when we are looking at it. How can we ever hope to master a universe whose fundamental operating system is written in a language our brains may be structurally incapable of truly understanding? Imagine a goldfish living its entire life in a spherical bowl. Its entire reality is defined and distorted by the curved glass. It perceives the outside world as a strange warped landscape. The goldfish could be a brilliant scientist in its own world. It could formulate perfect laws of physics that describe how things move inside its curved reality. But it could never truly conceive of the flat 3-dimensional room in which its bowl sits. Its reality is a subset of a higher, inaccessible truth. Are we that goldfish? Are our 3 dimensions of space and 1 of time merely our bowl? Is it possible that concepts like dark matter and dark energy seem so mysterious because they are, in effect, the shadows of a higher dimensional reality leaking into our limited perception? This cognitive confinement may be the most subtle trap of all. Perhaps intelligence always evolves to master its local environment, but in doing so becomes permanently locked into the logic of that environment, unable to make the intuitive leap required to understand the greater whole. The system doesn't just trap our bodies, it may have built the prison inside our minds. When faced with so many colossal, seemingly insurmountable walls, distance, energy, expansion, biology, cognition, one is forced to ask a disquieting question. Why is our universe so perfectly structured for confinement? Why do the laws of physics seem to conspire to keep us isolated? This line of inquiry leads us to the 5th and perhaps final wall, an idea so profound and unsettling that it teeters on the edge of science and philosophy. It is the notion that our reality is not a base reality at all, it is the simulation hypothesis. The idea that our world is an illusion is an ancient one, from Plato's allegory of the cave to the philosophical musings of Descartes. But in the digital age, it has been given a new technological plausibility. The argument most famously articulated by philosopher Nick Bostrom is one of pure probability. Consider the trajectory of our own technology. We have gone from simple video games like Pong to photorealistic virtual reality worlds in just a few decades. It is not a stretch to imagine a future civilization, perhaps a post-human one, possessing computational power so immense that they could simulate an entire universe, complete with conscious beings who believe their world is real. If such a civilization could create one such ancestor simulation, they could create thousands or millions. If this is possible, then for every one base reality, there would be countless simulated realities. By sheer statistical probability, it is therefore overwhelmingly more likely that we are living inside one of the simulations than are in the one original universe. If this were true, it would provide a chillingly elegant explanation for our confinement. The laws of physics are not natural, they are lines of code. The speed of light is not a fundamental property of space-time. It is a processing speed limitation, a way for the master computer to render the simulation without having to calculate an infinite number of interactions instantaneously. The quantization of energy, the pixelated nature of reality at the smallest scales, might be the literal resolution of the simulation's grid. The vast, empty distances between stars might be a form of data compression. Why render trillions of detailed, visitable worlds when you can just create a few and make the journey between them computationally prohibitive? In this scenario, our prison is absolute. We are not just trapped by the laws of physics, we are trapped within them. There is no escape because there is nowhere to escape to. Trying to travel faster than light would be like a character in a video game trying to run off the edge of the map. The code simply would not allow it. The system that traps us is, in the most literal sense, a computer system. The Fermi paradox is solved. We see no other alien civilizations because they have not been programmed into our particular simulation instance. Or perhaps, advanced civilizations inevitably discover they are in a simulation and find a way to hack the code or transcend it, vanishing from the observable universe. It is the ultimate wall, a cage whose bars are the very logic of existence itself, a reality that could, in theory, be edited, paused, or simply deleted by its unseen architects. We stand then encircled. We are prisoners of distance sentenced to eons of travel by the implacable speed of light. We are prisoners of energy, our ambitions checked by the colossal demands of the Kardashev scale. We are prisoners of an expanding cosmos, watching our destinations recede into an unseeable void. We are prisoners of our own fragile biology and the cognitive limits of our minds. And perhaps we are prisoners of a simulated existence, characters in a grand computational drama. It is a bleak portrait, a vision of humanity confined to a pale blue dot, rattling the bars of a cosmic cage whose true dimensions we are only just beginning to comprehend. Is this, then, our final fate? To live and die in this beautiful, lonely quarantine? Perhaps. But the story of humanity has never been one of passive acceptance. It has always been a story of defiance in the face of limits. The walls of our reality are formidable, but they are not entirely opaque. They have cracks, theoretical fissures, through which a glimmer of hope might shine. Physicists dream of wormholes, tunnels through space-time that could connect two distant points like a cosmic shortcut. They imagine warp drives, like the Alcubierre drive, that could bend space around a vessel to allow for effective faster-than-light travel without breaking the laws of local causality. These ideas are wildly speculative, bordering on science fiction. They may require forms of exotic matter and negative energy that are physically impossible. But they are not magic. They are born from the same equations that describe our prison. Perhaps a deeper understanding of dark energy could unlock a new form of propulsion. Perhaps the mysteries of quantum entanglement, Einstein's spooky action at a distance, hold a key to instantaneous communication, if not travel. And maybe the ultimate escape is not an outward one. Perhaps our destiny is not to send fragile bodies of flesh and bone across the void, but to transcend biology itself, to upload our consciousness into more durable digital forms. A civilization of pure information could traverse the galaxy at the speed of light, unburdened by the needs of a physical body, their subjective experience of time transformed. But even if escape is impossible, there is meaning to be found within the walls. The very act of discovering our limitations is a triumph of the human intellect. The universe may have locked us in, but it has also given us minds capable of understanding the lock. We can look at the bars of our cage and not just see confinement, but appreciate the intricate design. We can study the fundamental constants, the physical laws, the cosmic evolution that holds us here, and in that understanding, find a profound connection to the whole. Perhaps the purpose of a conscious species is not to conquer the universe, but to witness it, to be the universe's way of looking back at itself, even from a single, isolated vantage point. Our reality may indeed be a system designed to contain us. But for now, this system is also our home, and our inescapable fate may also be our greatest calling, to explore this one world, this one solar system, with all of our ingenuity and curiosity, to build a civilization of depth, wisdom, and beauty within our given limits. To cherish the astonishing improbability of our own existence, and to continue gazing up at the deceptive, beautiful, and distant lights of the night sky, not as a prisoner cursing his walls, but as a student of their magnificent architecture. The trap is real, but the wonder is real too. There is a fundamental speed limit to the universe, an unbreakable law. It doesn't just govern the journeys of starships in our dreams, but the very flow of information, the transmission of reality itself. This cosmic statute dictates that nothing, absolutely nothing, not even the news of our own extinction, can travel faster than light. So if the sun, the blazing heart of our solar system, the star that has nurtured life on this planet for 4 billion years, were to suddenly and inexplicably vanish from existence, you wouldn't know it. Not yet. For 8 minutes and 20 seconds you would feel its warmth on your skin. You would watch your children playing under a familiar blue sky, oblivious to the fact that the light bathing them in its glow is a ghost, a final fleeting message from a star that is already gone. This is not a story about the distant fiery death of our sun, its slow, predictable swelling into a red giant billions of years from now. We have charted that future. We understand its mechanics. That is a gentle cosmic twilight and ending on a galactic timescale. No, this is a far more terrifying thought experiment, a plunge into a chilling hypothetical that tears apart the rules of astrophysics. What if the sun were simply extinguished? Erased from the cosmos in a single, silent, impossible moment? No explosion, no warning, just a sudden and complete absence. This documentary is the chronicle of that impossibility. It is the story of your final 8 minutes of daylight, the precise second-by-second countdown to a world plunged into a darkness more absolute than anything humanity has ever conceived. It is the story of Earth untethered and abandoned on the day the sun dies. At the very instant of our star's disappearance, nothing changes here on Earth. Absolutely nothing. The world continues its familiar rhythmic dance, a planet unaware of its own death sentence. Imagine the scene. It is midday over the sprawling metropolis of Tokyo. Sunlight glints off a million windows, a dazzling cascade of photons that began their journey from the sun's photosphere before it ceased to be. Commuters hurry through streets, shielding their eyes from the glare, never imagining it is the last true glare they will ever see. The light is real, the warmth is palpable, but their source is a phantom. Across the globe, in the heart of the Amazon rainforest, a symphony of life performs under a dappled canopy. Photosynthesis. The silent, miraculous engine of our world is at its peak. Trillions upon trillions of leaves are diligently converting phantom sunlight into the energy that fuels nearly every food chain on the planet. They are breathing in carbon dioxide and breathing out the very oxygen in our lungs, a planetary respiration process that has just been given a terminal diagnosis, though the symptoms have not yet begun to show. The intricate web of life from the smallest microbe to the largest predator is still functioning on the credit of a star that has already gone bankrupt. Deep in the frigid waters of Antarctica, a lone research vessel cuts through the ice under a sky of impossible clarity. Scientists on deck, bundled against the wind, are measuring the solar radiation recording data from a sun that no longer occupies its position in space-time. Their instruments report normalcy, a steady stream of particles, the solar wind, a constant breath from our star washing over the Earth's magnetic shield. This solar wind, a stream of charged particles travelling at 1,000,000 miles an hour, is still on its way. The last gust from a vanished furnace is still inbound, a final whisper from the void. For these scientists and for everyone on Earth, reality is a lie. We are living on a delay encased in a bubble of ignorance that is shrinking at the speed of 186,000 miles per second. Everything we see, everything we feel from our star is an echo. The sunshine warming the ancient stones of the pyramids in Giza, the light that allows a farmer in Kansas to survey his crops, the brilliant blue of the Pacific Ocean, as seen from orbit, all of it is a memory. A postcard from a place that no longer exists, arriving 8 minutes late. This period of blissful ignorance is perhaps the most profound and chilling aspect of our sun's sudden departure. It reveals a fundamental truth about our perception of the universe. We never see things as they are, but only as they were. We're always looking into the past. The light from the moon is 1.5 seconds old, the glimmer from Jupiter a half hour or more. The faint stars of our nearest celestial neighbour, Alpha Centauri, are ghosts of a reality that existed over 4 years ago. And every time you gaze upon the Andromeda Galaxy, you're witnessing a majestic spectacle that unfolded 2.5 million years in the past. Our entire perception of the cosmos is an illusion, a tapestry woven from old light. But we have always found comfort in this, a sense of connection to a vast history. Today, however, that delay is not a source of wonder. It is a ticking clock. To truly comprehend the catastrophe that is hurtling towards us, we must first understand what the sun truly is and what its presence means. It is not merely a lamp in the sky. It is the cosmic anchor of our entire world, the gravitational linchpin, the great stabilizer that holds our planetary family together. The sun accounts for 99.86% of all the mass in the solar system. It is a colossal sphere of incandescent plasma, so massive, so dense, that its gravitational influence dictates the precise clockwork orbits of every planet, moon, asteroid, and comet in its domain. This is where Albert Einstein's revolutionary vision of the universe becomes critical. Isaac Newton imagined gravity as an invisible force, a mysterious rope instantaneously pulling objects toward one another. If Newton were right, the moment the sun vanished, Earth would instantly feel the loss of its pull and fly off into space. Darkness would follow 8 minutes later, but Einstein revealed a deeper, more elegant and far stranger reality. He showed us that space and time are not separate static concepts. They are interwoven into a single four-dimensional fabric space-time. Massive objects like our sun do not pull on the planets. Instead, they warp and curve this fabric around them like a heavy bowling ball placed on a stretched rubber sheet. Planets like Earth are not being pulled. They are simply following the straightest possible path through this curved, contorted space-time. Our orbit is not a circle we are forced to trace, but a geodesic, a straight line through a bent reality. The Sun, therefore, is a gravitational gyroscope, its immense mass creating a stable, predictable depression in space-time that has cradled Earth for its entire existence. It is this curvature that holds us in our perfect life-sustaining orbit, keeping us at just the right distance to have liquid water and a stable climate. It is the cosmic valley in which our world perpetually rolls. So when the Sun vanishes, it's not just the light that goes out. The very shape of the universe around us is torn asunder. The colossal depression in space-time, the gravitational well that has been our home, suddenly snaps back. Imagine lifting the bowling ball from the rubber sheet. The fabric wouldn't flatten instantaneously. A ripple, a wave of returning flatness, would propagate outward from the center. This is a gravitational wave. It is disturbance in the very structure of space-time itself, a tremor carrying the news that the mass that created the curve is gone. And here is the most crucial mind-bending fact of all these gravitational waves. These messengers of cosmic change travel at precisely the same speed as light. The speed of reality. This means that for 8 minutes and 20 seconds, not only is our world bathed in the light of a dead star, it is also faithfully following the curve in space-time created by a dead star. Our planet continues its elegant orbital arc around nothing. It is tracing the edge of a phantom gravitational well held in place by the ghost of a gravity that no longer exists. This single staggering concept that the absence of both light and gravity travels at the same finite speed is the central pillar of our final moments. It is the law of physics that grants us this brief final reprieve, a stay of execution delivered by the universe's own latency. While humanity goes about its day, the Sun's other profound influences are also living on borrowed time. Consider the solar wind, that constant stream of charged particles I mentioned earlier. It is a celestial blowtorch, a relentless gale that inflates a protective bubble around our entire solar system, known as the heliosphere. This bubble acts as a cosmic shield, deflecting the vast majority of high-energy galactic cosmic rays, particles accelerated to near light speed by distant supernovae and black holes. These rays are incredibly damaging to living tissue and DNA. Our Sun's solar wind is our primary line of defense against this interstellar radiation, but now the engine generating that wind has been shut off. The last gust has been emitted. The vast protective heliosphere, which extends billions of miles past Pluto, will begin to collapse, but like everything else, this news will not reach us for some time. For now, we remain safe inside a decaying magnetic cocoon, our atmosphere and magnetosphere providing a secondary layer of protection. But the outer defences of our kingdom have already fallen. The solar system is being opened up to the harsh, unfiltered void of the galaxy. Then there is the sheer thermonuclear power we take for granted. Deep within the Sun's core, pressures and temperatures are so extreme that hydrogen atoms are being fused together to create helium. This process, nuclear fusion, converts a tiny amount of mass into a staggering quantity of energy, as described by Einstein's most famous equation, E=mc². Every second, the Sun converts about 4 million tons of its mass into the radiant energy that powers our world. This energy in the form of photons begins a tortuous journey. It can take a photon over 100,000 years to travel from the Sun's core, ricocheting through its dense interior to its surface, the photosphere. From there, it makes the final unimpeded leap across 93 million miles of space to our planet in just over 8 minutes. The sunlight you see, the energy that fuels our weather, our oceans, our very biology, is the end product of a fusion reaction that began before human civilization existed. We are literally living off of ancient energy, a gift from a star's deep past. And now that ancient life-giving furnace has been extinguished. The symphony of fusion has fallen silent. The last photons have begun their final lonely voyage. There will be no more to follow. The clock is ticking down. 4 minutes have passed since the event. The world is as it was. A child in a park laughs, chasing a ball. A couple on a beach watches the waves, feeling the sun's warmth on their faces. A pilot guides a passenger jet through a perfectly sunlit sky at 30,000 feet. There is no panic. There is no warning. There is no sign. No astronomer's telescope could detect this, as they too are slaves to the speed of light. They are looking at an image of the sun that is 4 minutes old, blissfully unaware that in another 4 minutes that image will simply cease to arrive. Every piece of scientific data, every satellite observation, every human sense conspires to create a perfect, unshakable illusion of normalcy. We are adrift in the most profound sense, our planet's fate sealed by an event that for us has not yet happened. The wave of annihilation is now halfway to our world. A front line of absolute darkness and gravitational release is screaming through the inner solar system, having already passed the orbit of Mercury. The innermost planet is now a rogue world cast loose from its anchor, plunging into the blackness of interstellar space. The wave is sweeping past Venus. That searing, hellish world, long a captive of the sun's immense gravity, is now also untethered its new trajectory, a wild, unpredictable tangent into the void. Earth is next. Our species, which has spent its entire existence looking to the heavens for answers, for gods, for meaning, is about to receive its final irrevocable answer. The question was never, are we alone? The question was, how fragile is the light? In these final moments of ignorance, we are living out a paradox. We are simultaneously safe and doomed. Our existence is suspended between a past that is a lie and a future that is an impossibility. The intricate systems of our planet, tuned over eons to the sun's reliable rhythm, are all about to be broken. The delicate balance of our atmosphere, the great currents of our oceans, the very magnetic field that protects us, are all predicated on the constant presence of our star. They are about to face a shock for which there is no precedent and no defense. The final grains of sand are falling through the hourglass. The last rays of ghostlight are entering our atmosphere, scattering to produce the last blue sky humanity will ever know. The last pulse of phantom gravity is holding our world in its final stable arc. What you are about to witness is the precise moment that this illusion shatters, the moment the delay runs out, the moment the wave arrives and the great pretense of our reality ends. This is the story of the end of the world, beginning not with a bang, but with the sudden, silent and catastrophic arrival of the truth. The final curtain is about to fall, and there will be no applause, only darkness. You have never truly seen the sun, not as it is in this precise fleeting moment of now. What you perceive as a stable, unwavering orb of light, the great constant of our sky, is in fact an illusion. It is a memory, a ghost of light 8 minutes old. This temporal gulf, this chasm in our perception of reality, is etched into the very fabric of the cosmos by a law more fundamental than any human decree. The universe has a speed limit. And understanding that delay, that 8-minute gap between an event and our awareness of it, is the key to comprehending the most profound and terrifying day in human history. A day that for 8 silent minutes will be utterly normal. Before we can fathom that final darkness, we must first stand in complete reverence of the light. We must acknowledge the star that made us. For every breath you take, every meal you eat, every thought that flickers through the intricate network of your mind, you owe an incalculable debt to that distant thermonuclear furnace. It is our cosmic parent, our anchor, our god of fire and gravity. Its existence is so deeply interwoven with our own that to separate them, even in thought, feels like a violation of nature itself. The story of life on Earth is simply a subchapter in the biography of our sun. Its radiant energy, a relentless torrent of photons flung across 150 million kilometers of empty space, is the very engine of our world. Imagine a single photon beginning its journey. Born in the sun's impossibly dense and violent core, it endures a chaotic million-year odyssey ricocheting through a sea of plasma before finally breaking free from the surface. Then a new journey begins, a straight, unimpeded dash across the void. In just over 8 minutes, it completes this vast interstellar transit, ending its voyage by striking a single leaf on a tree. In that infinitesimal moment of impact, a miracle unfolds. The photon's energy is captured. It excites an electron, initiating a chain reaction of exquisite chemical precision. This is photosynthesis, the quiet, elegant alchemy that powers a planet. It is the process that takes the raw, chaotic energy of a star and weaves it into the ordered, intricate tapestry of life. From this one fundamental transaction, everything we know emerges. Plants, the planet's silent architects, use this stolen starlight to split water molecules and stitch together sugars, creating the foundational layer of almost every food web on Earth. They are the bridge between the inorganic and the organic, between the stellar and the terrestrial. Every blade of grass, every ancient redwood, every microscopic plankton drifting in the sunlit layers of the ocean is a living repository of solar energy, a battery charged by a star. And we in turn consume this energy. The food on your plate is nothing more than solidified sunlight, its atoms arranged in complex structures that release their borrowed power inside our cells. The very oxygen that fills your lungs with each inhalation, the vital gas that fuels our metabolic fire, is a waste product of this planetary photosynthesis. We are literally breathing the exhalations of a world animated by the sun. This dependence is written not just in our biology, but in our geology. The fossil fuels that powered our civilizations for centuries, the coal, the oil, the natural gas, are the ghosts of ancient sunlight. They are the compressed remains of prehistoric forests and marine life that captured solar energy hundreds of millions of years ago. When we burn them, we are releasing a star's ancient radiance, unleashing a power that has been locked away deep within the Earth, a fiery inheritance from a long-vanished world. The sun's influence extends beyond mere energy. It is also our protector and our guide, a gravitational shepherd tending to its flock. Its immense mass, accounting for over 99.8% of all matter in our solar system, generates a gravitational field so powerful that it dictates the motion of everything in its domain. This is not a force in the way we might imagine a rope or a chain pulling Earth along. Einstein's great revelation was that gravity is the shape of space itself. Imagine the sun as a colossal weight, placed upon a stretched, flexible sheet, the fabric of space-time. Its mass creates a deep depression, a gravitational well. Our Earth, and all the other planets, are not being pulled, but are instead rolling along the curved edge of this cosmic basin. Our orbit is a state of continuous controlled falling. We are perpetually plunging toward the sun, but our tremendous sideways velocity means we always miss tracing a near-perfect ellipse year after year, millennium after millennium. This celestial ballet is a triumph of equilibrium. The sun's gravitational grip is the cosmic anchor that prevents our planet from being cast out into the desolate frozen darkness of interstellar space. Without it, Earth would cease its elegant pirouette and instead fly off in a straight line, a rogue world careening into the unknown. This gravitational stability, this predictable cosmic rhythm, has provided the long-term tranquil environment necessary for life to evolve from simple, single-celled organisms into the breathtaking complexity we see today. The sun dictates our days, our years, our seasons. The tilt of our planet's axis as it orbits this gravitational center creates the cyclical shifts that have defined life's adaptations, prompting migrations, hibernations, and the very cadence of existence. It is the metronome to which all life on Earth dances. Its heat maintains the delicate thermal balance that allows water, the universal solvent for life, to remain liquid on our surface. Too close, and our oceans would boil away into a suffocating steam. Too far, and they would lock into a global sheet of lifeless ice. We exist in a sliver of a habitable grace, a Goldilocks zone, where the conditions are for us just right. And it is the sun that maintains the walls of this celestial garden. So we have a planet utterly dependent on its star for everything: light, heat, food, oxygen. and the very stability of its path through space. A symbiotic relationship on a scale so grand it defies true comprehension. But this relationship is governed by a set of unyielding physical laws, and two of them are about to become critically important. The first is the one we have already touched upon, the finite speed of light. For most of human history, light was considered instantaneous. A flick of a switch, a strike of a match, and the effect was immediate. It was the 17th century Danish astronomer Ole Rømer who first saw hints that this was not the case. Observing the moons of Jupiter, he noticed that their eclipses appeared to happen later than predicted, when Earth was on the far side of its orbit from Jupiter, and earlier when it was on the near side. He correctly deduced that the discrepancy was due to the time it took for the light from Jupiter's moons to cross the extra distance of Earth's orbit. Light had a speed. It was breathtakingly fast, but it was not infinite. Later, more precise measurements confirmed his genius. Light travels through a vacuum at approximately 300,000 kilometers per second. It is the ultimate cosmic speed limit, a barrier woven into the structure of reality by Einstein's theory of special relativity. Nothing with mass can reach it, and nothing at all, not even information itself, can exceed it. This universal constant, denoted by the simple letter c, is the foundation of modern physics. It means that whenever we look out at the cosmos, we are not seeing it as it is, but as it once was. We are in essence looking into the past. The light from our own moon is a little over a second old. The light from Proxima Centauri, the nearest star, is over 4 years old. When you gaze at the Andromeda Galaxy, the faint smudge of light you perceive is a spectral postcard that has been travelling for 2.5 million years to reach your eyes. The galaxy you are seeing is an ancient version of itself, and this same principle applies to our own star. The 150 million kilometres that separate us from the Sun are not traversed in an instant. Divide that distance by the speed of light, and you arrive at a number that should send a shiver down your spine: 500 seconds. Or to put it more starkly, 8 minutes and 20 seconds. Every ray of sunlight that warms your face, every photon that drives the great engine of our biosphere, left the Sun more than 8 minutes ago. You are always living in the Sun's recent past. This creates a profound disconnect, a temporal buffer between our reality and the state of our life-giving star. We are observing a memory basking in the glow of a history that is already written. This is unsettling enough, but the true terror of our situation is revealed only when we consider the second fundamental law. For a long time, it was assumed that gravity, unlike light, was indeed instantaneous. Newton himself believed that if the Sun were to vanish, its gravitational pull on Earth would disappear at that exact same moment. The planet would in that instant fly off its orbital path. It was a tidy mechanical universe, but Einstein, with his theory of general relativity, revealed a far stranger and more elegant reality. As we discovered, gravity is not a mysterious force reaching across space. It is the curvature of space-time. When a massive object like the Sun warps this fabric, it creates the effect we perceive as gravity. But if that object were to suddenly move or disappear, the fabric of space-time would not instantly snap back into a flat shape. Instead, the change would propagate outward like a ripple on a pond, a gravitational wave, and Einstein's theory made a stunning prediction. These ripples, these disturbances in the very geometry of the cosmos, would travel at a precise and familiar speed. They would travel at the speed of light. This was a theoretical prediction for a century, a beautiful piece of mathematics that seemed almost too strange to be true. But in 2015 it was confirmed. The LIGO experiment detected gravitational waves from 2 colliding black holes over 1 billion light-years away, proving that Einstein was right. Gravity is not instantaneous. Its influence travels at the cosmic speed limit 300,000 kilometers per second. Now connect these two immutable truths. Light the source of our energy, and our vision takes 8 minutes to reach us. Gravity, the force that holds us in our orbit, also takes 8 minutes to reach us. The umbilical cord of a light and the gravitational leash that binds us to our star are transmitted at the exact same velocity. This means that if the Sun were to suddenly and inexplicably cease to exist, to vanish from its point in space-time, we would have no way of knowing. Not for 8 minutes and 20 seconds. For those 8 minutes, the Earth would continue its serene journey around a phantom star that was no longer there. It would trace its familiar path along a curve in space-time that was in reality already gone, a gravitational memory holding us in place. The sky would remain bright. The sun would appear in its usual place, a brilliant, reassuring presence. Photosynthesis would continue. The world's great biological engine would keep running, blissfully unaware that its power source had been cut. Life on Earth would proceed in absolute ignorance for 8 minutes of borrowed time. For 8 minutes, the illusion of normalcy would be perfect. People would go about their day under a blue sky, feeling the warmth of a sun that in reality had already been extinguished. It is the ultimate cosmic delay, a buffer between cause and effect, between catastrophe and consequence. A final fleeting period of grace granted by the unyielding laws of physics. We are tethered to our star, but our tethers are long. They provide us with an echo of reality, a delayed broadcast from the centre of our solar system. And it is within this 8-minute gap, this period of profound and deceptive tranquility, that our story begins. The story of the last sunrise, the story of a planet orbiting a ghost. What happens at the exact moment that borrowed time runs out? What happens when the last photons from a dead star finish their journey, and the first waves of darkness begin to break upon our shore? And so it has happened. 93 million miles away, a star has died. A heart of churning plasma that burned for 4.5 billion years has in a final shuddering instant grown cold. The engine at the centre of our solar system, the furnace that forged our world and nurtured our existence, is extinguished. The cataclysm is total, the verdict absolute. Yet here on the sun-drenched surface of the Earth we know nothing. We are oblivious passengers on a ship whose captain is already gone, coasting on the momentum of a yesterday that has already been erased from the cosmic ledger. We continue our lives bathed in the warmth of a ghost. This is the universe's most profound and terrifying deception. A lie told not with words, but with physics. The light you see, the warmth you feel on your skin right now is old news. It is an echo, a memory travelling at 282 miles per second. Every photon striking your retina is a tiny messenger from the past, a vestige of a fusion reaction that occurred 8 minutes and 20 seconds ago. For that precise duration, that ephemeral cosmic grace period, Earth will remain an unwitting orphan spinning in the brilliant, benevolent glow of a star that is already a corpse. We are living on borrowed time, 8 minutes of it, a final radiant gift from a sun that has ceased to be. Imagine it. 7 minutes left in the age of light. Somewhere a child is chasing her shadow across a lawn, unaware that the source of this fleeting dark shape has already vanished forever. A farmer inspects his crops, feeling the familiar heat that nourishes them, a heat whose generator is now silent. High above the atmosphere, astronauts aboard the space station gaze down at the brilliant blue marble, their view illuminated by a sun whose reality no longer matches its appearance. They are all bathed in this phantom radiance, this final elegiac whisper from a dead god. Every ray of sunshine is now a farewell. Every glint of light off the ocean is a final testament. The sky itself has become a beautiful, elaborate fiction, and the clock is ticking down with the ruthless, indifferent precision of celestial mechanics. 6 minutes. The last photons to ever leave the sun are now screaming through the vacuum, a wave of farewell, washing over the scorched, lifeless plains of Mercury. They are a torrent of obsolete information carrying the image of a stellar surface that has already begun to collapse, to cool, to die. This is not a slow dimming, a gentle fading into twilight. The death of the sun's core was an instantaneous event. A quantum switch flipped from on to off. The production of light and heat did not dwindle, it ceased. And so the stream of photons being emitted was not tapered, it was severed. A clean, brutal cut. The river of light that flowed continuously for eons now has an end. A final, definite edge moving across the solar system like the blade of a cosmic guillotine. 5 minutes. That blade of darkness, the absolute cessation of all new light, now sweeps past the toxic, cloud-shrouded plains of Venus. Behind this advancing frontier of night there is nothing. Not dimness, but a perfect primordial black deeper than any earthly cave, blacker than any moonless night. It is the absolute absence of stellar energy. Meanwhile, on Earth the illusion holds. The sky is a vibrant, impossible blue. Clouds drift lazily, painted in brilliant white by a light source that is a historical artifact. We have no warning system for this, no celestial alarm. Our senses, the very tools evolved over millions of years to interpret the light of this star, are now our greatest deceivers. They assure us that all is well, that the anchor of our world is steady even as the chain has already been broken. 4 minutes. The final particles of the solar wind, the charged breath of our star, wash over our planet's magnetic shield for the last time. This invisible dance of energies creates the shimmering aurora at our poles, a beautiful consequence of a dynamic living star. But the stellar engine driving this wind has seized. The last of its breath is now passing us by, and soon our magnetic cocoon will fall quiet, no longer buffeted by the sun's energetic gusts. The sky's silent light show will be extinguished, another subtle, imperceptible thread in our connection to the cosmos severed. On the sunlit face of Earth, millions of people are looking at their phones, their computer screens, their televisions, their faces illuminated by artificial light, utterly ignorant that the primary natural light of their world is on its final approach. 3 minutes. Think of all the life on Earth that is tuned to this light. The plankton in the upper ocean, the very base of the marine food web, are performing their daily ritual of photosynthesis, converting this ghost light into energy. The great rainforests of the world, the lungs of our planet, are breathing in carbon dioxide, their chemistry powered by a star that is already gone. A flower in a garden turns its face towards the sun, tracking a memory across the sky. These biological clocks, wound and set by the rhythm of sunrise and sunset for billions of years, are about to be broken beyond repair. They're operating on a promise the universe can no longer keep. The light they are using is a post-mortem photograph, beautiful and vibrant and utterly tragically false. 2 minutes. The moon, hanging pale and serene in the daytime sky, continues to reflect the sun's light back to us. It has no light of its own. It is a mirror, a celestial canvas. In 2 minutes its painter will be gone. The light hitting the moon, now the light we see reflected from its cratered surface, is also on that 8-minute delay. But because the moon is on average 1.3 light seconds away from us, the moment the sun's light ceases to strike it, we will see it go dark 1.3 seconds later. The planets too. Jupiter, Saturn, Mars, Venus, all the familiar wanderers of our night sky will be extinguished. They're all just mirrors, and their source is about to be shattered. The entire solar system, as we perceive it, is a stage illuminated by a single spotlight. We are about to witness that spotlight being switched off. 1 minute. 60 seconds of normalcy left in the history of the world. A jetliner chasing the sunset across the Pacific is bathed in golden and crimson hues. The passengers watch, mesmerized by what they believe is an ordinary, beautiful end to an ordinary day. They are flying towards a horizon that is about to become a precipice. In a solar observatory in the high desert of Chile, an astronomer calibrates her telescope, preparing for a night of observation, studying the very star that in her reality, in her here and now, has already ceased to exist. All of our science, all of our poetry, all of our myths about the sun are about to become instantly, violently obsolete. We are on the final page of a chapter we never even knew we were reading. 10 seconds. 9. 8. The final wave of photons, the last light to ever cross the 93 million mile void, is now screaming through our upper atmosphere. 7. 6. It passes through the stratosphere, the ozone layer, untouched and unseen. 5. 4. It illuminates the wispy noctilucent clouds at the edge of space, painting them silver one last time. 3. It strikes the peaks of the highest mountains, the Himalayas, the Andes, casting long familiar shadows that will never be cast again. 2. It kisses the surface of the ocean, giving it a final fleeting sparkle. 1. It is here. The world does not fade, it does not dim, it snaps to black. In one silent, seamless, instantaneous moment, the sky vanishes. There is no transition. One moment, a brilliant blue canopy, the next, a suffocating absolute void. It is the feeling of having your eyes wide open in a sealed tomb. The sun is not gone from the sky. The sky itself is gone. It is replaced by a blackness so profound, so complete, that your brain struggles to comprehend it. This is not the dark of night, a familiar state peppered with the comforting points of starlight. and the gentle glow of the moon. This is different. This is the lights going out on the universe itself. For a split second, there is only confusion. Across the planet, in every city, every town, every field and forest, on the daylit side, a collective gasp. 1 billion people simultaneously look up. Is this a solar eclipse? No, an eclipse is a shadow, a dimming. This was a deletion, an erasure. The moon, which might have been visible in the sky, is also gone, its reflected light cut off at the same instant. Venus, Jupiter, any planet that might have been in the sky, also extinguished. One moment they were there, pale points of light, and the next they are simply not. The effect is total. The entire solar system has been unplugged. Imagine the pilot of that jetliner over the Pacific. One moment she's flying into a glorious sunset. The next she is suspended in a blackness so absolute that her instruments are the only proof that a world exists outside her cockpit window. The horizon is gone, the sea is gone, the sky is gone. Gone. There is only the dark. In New York City, a bustling afternoon is plunged into an artificial midnight, but a midnight deeper than any the city has ever known. The streetlights and building lights flicker on, confused by the sudden dark, but they only serve to illuminate the sheer panic blooming on the faces below. They cast a sickly, isolated glow against a backdrop of utter cosmic emptiness. In that first minute of darkness, the dawning horror begins to set in. This is not a local phenomenon. A phone call from London to Tokyo, from Cairo to Rio, confirms the impossible. It is dark everywhere. The sun has not set. It has disappeared. The stars now visible are a terrifying sight. Without the sun's overwhelming glare and without the light-scattering effect of our atmosphere, the celestial background is revealed with a horrifying, pristine clarity. The Milky Way blazes across the void not as a gentle milky band, but as a fierce incandescent river of light. Nebulae and distant galaxies, usually visible only through powerful telescopes, stand out as ghostly smudges against the perfect black. The stars do not twinkle. Twinkling is a product of atmospheric distortion. In this new naked reality, they are hard, unwavering, diamond-sharp points of ice-cold fire. They look alien, accusatory. They are the silent witnesses to our star's demise. This sudden plunge into darkness is the first consequence, the first message we receive of the sun's death. And it arrives first for a very simple, very fundamental reason: it was carried by the fastest thing in the universe. Light and all other forms of electromagnetic radiation travels at the absolute speed limit, a constant known as c-call. Nothing, no information, no influence, no force can propagate faster than light in a vacuum. The light from the sun was the leading edge of the news of its own death, but it was not the only message dispatched from that cataclysm. The sun's death was not just the extinguishing of a great fire, it was the vanishing of an immense gravitational presence. For billions of years, the Earth has been held in a delicate, stable orbit by the sun's enormous mass. But this hold is not an instantaneous magical pull. It is a physical influence that, like light, must travel across space. Albert Einstein showed us that mass does not create a force of gravity in the way Newton imagined. Instead, mass bends and warps the very fabric of the universe space-time. Think of space-time as a vast, stretched trampoline. The sun is like a heavy bowling ball placed in the center, creating a deep depression, a curve. Our Earth is like a marble rolling around the edge of that curve, held in orbit not by a mysterious rope, but by the very shape of the space it moves through. So what happens when the bowling ball suddenly and possibly vanishes? The fabric of space-time, which had been stretched and dented, would snap back. A ripple, a wave of gravitational change would propagate outwards from the center. And here is the most crucial, most elegant, and most terrifying discovery of Einstein's theory. These gravitational waves, these ripples in the fabric of reality itself, also travel at the speed of light. This means that the two messages from the dying sun, the final photon of light, and the initial wave of gravitational release have been on a dead heat race across the solar system for the last 8 minutes and 20 seconds. They have been travelling together, an inseparable harbinger of two different kinds of doom. The darkness you're now experiencing, the shock of a world without a sun, is merely the opening act. It is the sensory prelude to a much more violent, much more fundamental crisis. As your eyes struggle to adjust to the impossible alien starlight, the other shoe is about to drop. The gravitational wave, the news that the anchor of our world has been released, has just arrived. The darkness was the site of the chain breaking. Now we're about to feel the lurch. We have been moving at over 66,000 miles per hour tethered to our star. Now the tether is gone. The Earth, our home, is about to become a rogue planet, a ship cast adrift on a dark, cold and unforgiving cosmic ocean. The age of light is over. The age of chaos is about to begin. For 8 minutes and 20 seconds you have been living a lie. The darkness that fell upon you was merely the first messenger, the herald of a far more fundamental betrayal. In this new profound twilight, everything except the light has felt deceptively normal. You still feel the reassuring pull of the ground beneath your feet, a force so constant, so utterly dependable, that we have built our entire world, our very biology, upon its premise. The oceans still feel the phantom tug of the sun's gravity, their tidal rhythms continuing their ancient conversation with a ghost. Our planet, your home, continues to move with perfect clockwork precision, tracing the familiar arc of its orbit around a star that is no longer there. It is a cosmic deception of the highest order, a final lingering illusion granted to us by the unyielding laws of physics. For these few precious minutes, we have been a planet in mourning, yet still tethered to the memory of our parent star, held in place by an echo of its immense authority. That echo, however, is fading, and the silence that follows will be absolute. The force you feel, the one we call gravity, is not some mystical, instantaneous chain reaching across the void. It is the physical manifestation of space-time itself, warped and curved by the sun's incredible mass. Imagine the fabric of the universe as a vast taut sheet. Our sun, for 4.5 billion years, has been a colossal weight pressing down upon it, creating a deep gravitational well. Earth has not been orbiting a star so much as it has been perpetually falling into that well, always moving, just fast enough to miss. We have been cosmic skaters on the inside of a celestial bowl, our momentum perfectly balanced against the steepness of the curve. But that entire structure, that shape which has dictated our every movement, is now gone. When the sun vanished, the weight was lifted, and across that cosmic fabric a wave of flattening is propagating outwards, a ripple of silent, catastrophic release. This wave does not travel infinitely fast. It moves at the one and only speed limit the universe allows, the speed of light, the very same speed as the last photons that just warmed your face. Light and gravity, two aspects of the same cosmic truth, are locked in a final, inexorable race to Earth, and their arrival is separated by nothing. So while we have been reeling in the sudden dark, this gravitational announcement has been hurtling towards us. It has already swept past the scorched, abandoned husk of Mercury, which was the first to be liberated from its solar shackle, cast away on a new lonely trajectory. It has surged beyond the toxic skies of Venus, severing its connection and sending it careening into the black. For 8 minutes and 20 seconds, Earth has remained the last loyal subject in the inner solar system, dutifully following the ghost of its king, obeying a law whose source has already been extinguished. Every second that has passed since the light failed has brought that wave of gravitational nullification closer. You're standing on the edge of a cliff in the dark, and for these few minutes, the ground beneath your feet has remained solid. But the entire cliff face has already been sheared away, and the knowledge of its absence is now arriving. The countdown that began with the failure of light now reaches its true and far more terrifying conclusion. This is not about the loss of light. It is about the loss of law, the loss of order, the loss of the very thing that makes us a planet. As the final seconds of this brief illusory grace period tick away, imagine the scene from afar. See our solar system, a delicate, intricate mobile of worlds, spinning in harmonious balance. Now watch as one by one the strings are cut. The inner planets are already gone, flung away like stones from a sling. The wave of release is now crossing the 150 million kilometers that have forever defined our place in the cosmos. It is not a wave of energy you could feel, nor a sound you could possibly hear. It is a wave of fundamental change. It is the universe rewriting its own geometry in real time, and we are at the epicenter of the edit. 10 seconds left. The Moon, our own constant companion, is still faithfully orbiting us itself, held in our own smaller gravity, well temporarily oblivious to the greater cataclysm unfolding. 5 seconds. The countless satellites we have flung into the heavens, our mechanical children, are still tracing their paths held firm by an authority that is seconds from dissolving. 4, 3, 2, 1, now. At this exact moment, 8 minutes and 20 seconds after the sun ceased to exist, the gravitational leash is cut. There is no jolt, no sudden shudder that shakes the planet to its core. The change is terrifyingly, incomprehensibly smooth. For the person standing on the surface, absolutely nothing feels different. Your weight does not change, the air does not thin, the ground does not tremble. The transition is utterly seamless, a silent and profound shift in the fundamental nature of our reality. The power of gravity was never a force you could feel as a push or a pull through space, but rather the very shape of the path you were compelled to follow. And in an instant that path has been straightened. We were turning. Now we are not. We were bound. Now we are free. And we are utterly terrifyingly lost. Our planet was moving at a staggering speed, approximately 30 kilometers, or 18.5 miles, every single second. This incredible velocity was what kept us in a stable orbit, constantly falling, but never hitting the sun. It was our sideways motion, a perpetual dance of momentum and gravity. Now one of the dance partners has vanished from the floor. That immense orbital speed, once our salvation, has just become our escape velocity. It is no longer sideways motion relative to a central star. It is now our forward motion into the unending void. Our trajectory has instantly become a straight line, a perfect tangent leading away from the point in space where our orbit used to be. We are no longer circling a gravitational anchor. We have been fired from a cosmic slingshot. From this moment forward, Earth's path is a ruler straight line aimed at the abyss between the stars. Look back at the solar system you just left behind. It is a scene of quiet mathematical chaos. Mars further out will continue to orbit the ghost of the sun for another 4 minutes before it too is released onto its own straight path. Jupiter, the colossal king, has nearly 40 more minutes of fealty before its immense bulk is cast adrift. Each planet will be unmoored in sequence, each one flying off on a trajectory tangential to its own orbit. The solar system, once a cohesive, gravitationally bound family, is disintegrating. It has become a collection of scattered siblings, each beginning its own solitary linear journey into the interstellar wilderness, fated never to cross paths again. We are now and forever on a parallel course with our planetary neighbours, close enough to remember but forever unable to touch. The beautiful cyclical poetry of the orbital clock has been shattered, replaced by the stark, unending prose of linear travel. This is a moment more profound than the simple loss of our sun. It is a redefinition of our very existence. We are no longer citizens of a solar system. We have been stripped of our cosmic address. We have become a rogue planet, an orphan world, a wanderer in the dark. Our world is now a ship, and its engines have just been ignited, locking us onto a course we cannot alter. The 30 kilometers we travel every second is no longer bringing us back to where we started. It is carrying us 30 kilometers deeper into the unknown, a relentless accumulation of distance from the only home we have ever known. Every passing moment drives us further into a cold, starless expanse, a realm where the gravitational whispers of other suns are faint and meaningless. We are sailing an unplumbed ocean and have left the familiar lights of the coast behind us forever. Consider the silent, invisible power we have just lost. The sun's gravity held our world together in 1,000 ways we never consciously acknowledged. It wasn't just our orbit, it was the anchor for the entire architecture of our celestial neighbourhood. It kept the orbits of potentially hazardous asteroids and comets in predictable, stable patterns. Without the sun's immense gravitational field acting as the ultimate cosmic shepherd, the outer reaches of the solar system, the Kuiper belt and the Oort cloud will begin to destabilise. Objects that were once held in check, locked in billion-year orbits, may slowly begin to drift inwards, their paths now governed by the far weaker pulls of the gas giants, or by nothing at all. The carefully constructed gravitational safety net of our solar system has just been shredded. While we are escaping on our own vector, the space we are leaving behind will slowly devolve into a more chaotic and unpredictable place. We have not just lost our star, we have lost our shield. This invisible severance is also a declaration of a new kind of isolation. For all of human history, we have looked up at the planets as fellow travellers, as members of our local group. We saw Mars, Venus, and Jupiter as destinations places within our reach, part of our shared environment. That concept has just been rendered obsolete. The distance to Mars is no longer a matter of orbital mechanics and launch windows. It is now an ever-expanding chasm of empty space. Any hope of interplanetary civilization of humanity spreading its wings within our own solar system has vanished in this silent gravitational uncoupling. Our potential future has been profoundly and irrevocably diminished. We are now truly, fundamentally alone, a single isolated outpost of life on a rock careening into absolute nowhere. And as we travel, the ghost of our star will seem to recede behind us. The point in space where the sun once burned will become our new fixed point of reference, the spot from which we can measure our terrifying new journey. Day by day, week by week, that location will shrink a memory of warmth and light, growing ever more distant in our planetary rearview mirror. The other planets on their own tangential paths will appear to drift slowly, their familiar lights becoming indistinguishable from the background of distant alien stars. The celestial map is being redrawn, and our place on it has been erased. We are now an uncharted traveller, a point of light moving with purpose but without destination. Feel the profound nature of this change. Your entire world, a sphere of rock and water and life weighing 6 sextillion tons, has just had its fundamental directive altered. For billions of years, its purpose was to circle, to repeat, to return. That cycle of repetition defined our seasons, our calendars, our biology, our very sense of time. It is the rhythm to which all life on Earth has danced. Now that rhythm has been broken, the dance is over. A new directive has been issued: proceed forward endlessly. There is no turning back. There is no cycle to complete. There is only the journey outwards, a straight line drawn across the canvas of space-time into infinity. This is the moment Earth ceases to be a planet in the traditional sense. It has graduated into something else, something wilder, something more tragic, and something infinitely more lonely. We are now a vessel, and the silent, cold, and unforgiving void of interstellar space is our new and final home. And just like that, the connection is severed. The last photon from our star, a final faint postcard from a ghost, completes its 8-minute journey to your retina. The last whisper of its gravity, a steadying hand that has guided our world for 4.5 billion years, finally lets go. There is no sound, no cosmic boom, only a sudden, profound, and irreversible subtraction. The sun is not gone from the sky. The very concept of a sky as a sun-drenched canopy has ceased to exist. You are now standing in the true dark, a blackness so absolute it feels like a physical presence, a smothering cloak woven from the fabric of the interstellar void. The familiar stars, once shy companions to a brilliant sun, now blaze with a cold, indifferent fire, their patterns slowly beginning to warp as our Earth untethered begins its new life, not as a planet but as a projectile. Our world, once held in a gentle, predictable ellipse, is now a rogue, a wanderer cast out from the only family it has ever known. It continues to move not in a graceful arc but in a perfectly straight line, the line it was travelling at the precise moment the gravitational cord was cut. This is the raw, unguided momentum of Newtonian physics laid bare. We are now travelling at 67,000 miles per hour into the star-dusted abyss, a hurtling arc on an unknown vector. But we are not alone in our exodus. The magnificent clockwork solar system, that grand celestial orrery that inspired myths and launched the age of science, has been thrown into utter pandemonium. The gravitational anchor at its heart has vanished, and the entire architecture of our cosmic neighbourhood has come crashing down. Look out across the now chaotic plane of the former ecliptic. Mercury, the fleet-footed messenger, its surface already a history of solar torment, is likely flung inwards, toward the sun's last known position, a tiny metallic teardrop falling into an empty space. Venus, our shrouded twin, its hellish atmosphere, a monument to a runaway greenhouse effect, is cast adrift on a trajectory of its own. a runaway world destined to wander the darkness alone, and Mars, the red planet that has for so long captivated our dreams of a second home, is now just another piece of cosmic debris, its path forever divergent from our own, its potential for life now frozen in the unforgiving cold. The great planetary dance has devolved into a catastrophic game of billiards played on a table the size of a solar system with no pockets and no rules. The true chaos, however, is unleashed in the outer realms. Jupiter, the colossal shepherd, the gravitational gyroscope that protected Earth for eons by absorbing comets and asteroids, is now the most dangerous object in the system. Its immense gravity, no longer counterbalanced by the Sun, gives it a momentum that is almost unimaginable. It careers through the darkness, a wrecking ball of metallic hydrogen and swirling gas, its legion of moons dragged along in its wake, some perhaps stripped away to become rogue moons themselves. Any planet or asteroid that crosses its new linear path faces certain annihilation or ejection from the system at terrifying speeds. Saturn, its glorious rings now catching only the faint light of distant stars, follows suit, a silent, majestic ship set adrift. Uranus and Neptune, the ice giants of the lonely deep, are cast out like stones from a slingshot, their slow, patient orbits of centuries now meaningless, their futures an endless journey into the cold unknown between the stars. The asteroid belt, that remnant of a planet that never was, is transformed into a diffuse, expanding cloud of shrapnel. The Kuiper belt and the distant Oort cloud, those reservoirs of frozen comets at the system's edge, have their delicate orbits shattered. Countless icy bodies, once held in a state of suspended animation, are now sent tumbling, some inwards, some outwards, a final chaotic flurry of activity in a dying system. Our home is no longer a system. It is a debris field, an explosion in slow motion, its constituent parts scattering like embers from a dead fire, each on its own solitary path to an unknown and likely unremarkable fate. And Earth, our pale blue dot, is just one of those embers, its internal fires still burning, but its surface beginning a transformation more violent and more complete than any extinction event in its long and turbulent history. The first consequence of this new reality is the cold. Without the constant life-giving torrent of energy from the Sun, Earth's thermal budget is now catastrophically in the red. We are radiating our heat away into the void, a process that is both immediate and relentless. The planet's average temperature, a comfortable 15 degrees Celsius, begins to plummet. Within the first few days, we fall below freezing. By the end of the first week, you would be living in a world where the global average temperature is minus 17 Celsius, colder than the most brutal Antarctic winter. This isn't a gentle slide into an ice age, it is a sheer vertical drop off a thermal cliff. The very air you breathe grows sharp and painful, each inhalation a reminder of the stellar furnace that has been extinguished. The world, which for so long felt the sun's warmth on its skin, now feels the absolute zero of deep space pressing in. The first to surrender are the planet's arteries, its rivers and lakes. Fresh water with its higher freezing point is the front line of this new war against the cold. The great rivers of the world, the Amazon, the Nile, the Yangtze, begin to slow their surfaces, glazing over with a veneer of ice that thickens with every passing hour. The flow becomes sluggish, choked with frost, until eventually these mighty conduits of life are frozen, solid, silent monuments of ice, carving through landscapes of dying green. Lakes and ponds become solid blocks, their aquatic life entombed in a crystalline grave. The sounds of flowing water, a primal music that has scored the evolution of life on this planet, are silenced one by one. A great stillness begins to descend upon the earth, the stillness of a world holding its breath before the end. But the true drama unfolds in the oceans. These vast churning bodies of salt water, which cover over 70% of our planet's surface, are Earth's thermal batteries. They have absorbed and stored solar energy for millennia, and for a time they fight back against the encroaching cold. The surface waters cool, become denser and sink, replaced by warmer water from below in a desperate convective struggle. This process releases a tremendous amount of heat, creating violent planet-spanning weather systems, a final furious storm before the long calm. Gargantuan blizzards driven by the last thermal gasps of the ocean would blanket the continents in meters of snow. But the ocean's memory of the sun is finite. Eventually, the surface temperature reaches minus 1.9 degrees Celsius, the freezing point of salt water, and the Great Freezing begins. It starts not as a solid sheet, but as a slushy, greasy-looking film of frazzle ice on the surface of the waves. This icy slurry dampens the motion of the sea, the rhythmic crashing of the surf against the shore growing weaker, more muffled until the oceans, for the first time in their history, begin to fall silent. The ice sheet expands, a creeping white plague spreading from the poles, and the coastlines marching unstoppably towards the equator. At first it is a few centimetres thick, then a metre, then tens of metres. Within a year, the entire surface of the planet's oceans from the Arctic to the Marianas Trench will be covered by a thick, impenetrable shell of solid ice, a global crust locking away the liquid water that was the cradle of life. Underneath this ice shield, the deeper ocean may remain liquid for hundreds of thousands of years, warmed by the residual heat bleeding from the planet's core. But on the surface, where our world existed, the transformation is total. Earth is becoming a marble of white and blue ice, its familiar continents buried under snow, its oceans capped in frost. As the temperature continues its relentless descent, a far more exotic and terrifying phenomenon begins. The atmosphere itself, that precious invisible ocean of air that we have breathed since birth, starts to give up the fight. The cold becomes so extreme that it reaches the condensation point of the gases that make up our air. First, the remaining water vapour precipitates out as a fine glittering diamond dust, a perpetual silent snowfall under the starlight. Then, at around minus 78 Celsius carbon dioxide, the breath of our world's biosphere can no longer remain a gas. It begins to snow from the sky, not as fluffy white flakes, but as a fine white powder of dry ice, blanketing the frozen surface in a layer of solid carbon dioxide. The sky thins, the atmospheric pressure drops precipitously, and as the planet continues to cool, heading towards the unthinkable depths of minus 200 Celsius, the very air we need to live, the nitrogen and oxygen, begins to condense. Nitrogen, which makes up 78% of our atmosphere, will rain down as a liquid forming rivers and pooling in vast still lakes on the surface before eventually freezing solid. Then oxygen follows suit. The sky is literally falling its constituent parts, precipitating out onto the surface in a final irreversible act of geological chemistry. Earth is acquiring a new outer layer, a brittle shell of frozen air atop its frozen oceans. Parallel to this thermal collapse is a biological one, a catastrophe so profound it rips up the very foundation of life. The moment the sun's light vanished, the most important chemical reaction on the planet stopped dead. Photosynthesis. The elegant, miraculous process by which plants and algae convert sunlight into energy has ended. The great engine of our biosphere, which for 3 billion years powered nearly every ecosystem on Earth, has seized. For the planet's flora, the change is instantaneous. Every tree, every blade of grass, every stalk of wheat, every microscopic plankton in the ocean is suddenly cut off from its source of power. They are no longer living organisms in the active sense. They are merely structures of cellulose, their chemical factories shut down forever. They can no longer produce glucose, the fuel of life, and more critically for us, they can no longer produce oxygen. The great exhalation of our planet, the process that filled our atmosphere with the breathable air that made our evolution possible, has ceased. We are now living on borrowed time, breathing the finite dwindling reserves of an atmosphere that is no longer being replenished. The collapse of the food chain is swift and brutal. The herbivores, from the smallest insect to the largest elephant, are the first to face the consequences. Their food source is gone. The endless buffet of the plant kingdom is closed for business. Starvation on a global scale begins within days. In the deepening cold and the eternal night, vast herds of animals wander across the dying landscapes, searching for sustenance that will never grow again. Their desperate cries echo in the frozen air for a time and then silence. The carnivores who prey upon the herbivores are granted a brief grisly reprieve. For a short time the world is filled with weak and dying prey, but this feast cannot last. Once the herbivores are gone, the predators too will starve their own powerful bodies, no match for a planet that no longer provides. The entire terrestrial web of life, a complex tapestry, woven over hundreds of millions of years, unravels in a matter of months. In the oceans, the apocalypse is even faster. The foundation of the marine food web is phytoplankton, microscopic single-celled organisms that float in the sunlit upper layers of the water. Without sunlight, they die off within hours. This triggers an immediate catastrophic die-off of the zooplankton that feed on them. The chain reaction moves with shocking speed. Krill small fish, and then larger predators find their food sources have vanished from beneath them. The oceans, once a vibrant three-dimensional world of unimaginable biodiversity, become a sterile, barren tomb. The great whales, the sharks, the teeming schools of fish all are doomed. They will sink into the abyss, their bodies coming to rest on a seabed that will never again be stirred by the currents of life entombed under a growing ceiling of impenetrable ice. Life's reign on the surface of planet Earth is over. The 4-billion-year experiment in all its chaotic, beautiful and sprawling glory has been brought to a sudden chilling halt. From the surface, your new reality is one of profound sensory deprivation. The world is silent. The wind, which is driven by solar heating differentials in the atmosphere, has died down completely. There are no storms, no breezes, no rustle of leaves in the forest, because the forests themselves are dead and frozen. The roar of the ocean is a distant memory. The sounds of life, the chorus of birds at dawn, the buzz of insects, the calls of animals in the night, all have been permanently erased. Your world is now governed by the oppressive, perfect silence of the vacuum that surrounds you. And the darkness is complete, broken only by the pinpricks of unfamiliar stars. As Earth travels, the constellations of our ancestors will recede, replaced by new patterns as we journey through the galaxy. The stars are no longer navigational aids or objects of myth. They are simply distant fusion reactors in a universe that is utterly indifferent to our plight. They are the new wallpaper of our eternal prison. What you are witnessing is the birth of a new celestial object. Not a planet in the classical sense, but a ghost, a cryoplanet. Its surface is now a layered mausoleum. At the bottom, the frozen continents and the dead rocky ground. Above that, a thick global shell of water ice kilometers deep in places its surface scoured smooth by the memory of dead winds. Layered on top of that, a brittle crust of frozen carbon dioxide and a fine dusting of solidified nitrogen and oxygen. This is Earth's new face, a silent, featureless ice ball glinting faintly in the light of stars it will never reach. It is a testament to the fragility of cosmic circumstance, a stark reminder that a habitable zone is not a right but a fleeting privilege. Our world has become a wanderer in the great dark, a silent ship with a frozen crew, its voyage now measured not in years or orbits but in the slow, inevitable decay of its own internal heat. The geological heart of the planet still beats its iron core, still molten a deep hidden reservoir of warmth. But on the surface where we lived and breathed, the story has ended. Yet, as our ghost planet embarks on this unending journey through the interstellar night, a new set of questions begins to emerge. This is not merely an ending, but a new terrifying beginning. What dangers lie in wait for us out here, in the vast uncharted territories between the stars? Could we pass through a dense nebula, or be captured by the gravity of another larger star or even a black hole? And deep beneath the frozen surface in the perpetual darkness of the abyssal plains, warmed by the faint geothermal breath of the planet's core, could some microbial spark of life against all imaginable odds endure? The final chapter of Earth's story has been written on its surface, but perhaps a new one is about to begin in its depths. The silence that follows the final sunset is not a peaceful one. It is a profound predatory quiet, the sound of a planet's life support being unplugged. For 8 minutes, gravity held us in an orbit around a ghost, a phantom star. But now, with that final photon having completed its journey, a new reality begins. We are untethered. Cast off from the gravitational anchor that defined our existence for 4.5 billion years, the warmth you feel on your skin is now a fleeting memory, a finite resource. Earth, a vessel once bathed in the continuous energy of its parent star, is now a closed system. It can only lose heat, bleeding its thermal lifeblood into the unforgiving void. The plunge is not instantaneous, but it is inexorable, a one-way slide into a cold deeper than any winter our world has ever known. Within the first few days, the global average temperature, once a comfortable 15 degrees Celsius, plummets below freezing. The great thermal flywheel of the oceans, those vast reservoirs of solar warmth, begin to fight a losing battle. They churn and steam into the increasingly frigid air trying to maintain equilibrium, but there is no sun to replenish them. The planet's thermostat is broken, and the dial is stuck on absolute zero. By the end of the first year, the surface of the Earth is a uniform cryo-hardened wasteland. The temperature has fallen to 100 degrees below zero. Life on the surface, every tree, every blade of grass, every creature not sheltered deep underground, has already perished, flash frozen into crystalline statues. The cities of humanity stand as they were monuments of ice-encrusted steel and stone, silent brittle ghosts under a sky that is now utterly and permanently black, save for the pinprick diamond dust of distant indifferent stars. But the most dramatic transformation is happening above us. You are about to witness the sky fall. The atmosphere, that delicate blue veil of gas that protected us, that gave us air to breathe and weather to watch, is not immune to the cold. It is after all made of physical substances with freezing points. First to go is the water vapour. Every last trace of humidity in the air condenses and falls as a final globe-spanning blizzard of exquisite frost. This cosmic snowfall lasts for decades, blanketing the dead world in a layer of pure white ice. Next, the carbon dioxide. At around minus 78 degrees Celsius, the CO2 in our atmosphere can no longer remain a gas. It precipitates directly into a fine, shimmering dust of dry ice. Imagine a world where it snows not water, but the very air you once exhaled. A constant, gentle fall of carbon dioxide crystals descends upon the nitrogen ice landscape, adding another layer to Earth's accumulating funeral shroud. This process strips the atmosphere of its greenhouse gases, accelerating the cooling catastrophically. Without that thermal blanket, the planet's remaining heat radiates away even faster. The temperature continues its relentless descent past minus 150, past minus 180 Celsius, and here the true death of the sky begins. Nitrogen, the steadfast gas that makes up nearly 80% of our air, begins to reach its condensation point. The sky begins to rain. Not water, but liquid nitrogen, a substance so cold it sears and shatters almost everything it touches. This otherworldly rain falls upon a landscape already frozen beyond comprehension, pooling in the lowest basins and valleys, forming transient super-chilled lakes that quickly freeze solid. As the temperature drops further still to below minus 210 Celsius, the nitrogen rain gives way to nitrogen snow. The very sky itself is collapsing its primary component, freezing solid and falling to the ground. The air pressure, once a comforting 14.7 pounds per square inch, drops precipitously. The final component of our breathable air, oxygen, holds out the longest, but it too succumbs. It rains down as pale blue droplets of liquid oxygen, a final, beautiful and utterly lethal precipitation. After a few thousand years, the process is complete. The Earth's atmosphere, our shield and our sustenance, now lies in a frozen sedimentary layer, several dozen meters thick across the entire planet. A thin, ghostly haze of the most resilient gases like helium and neon might linger for a time, but for all intents and purposes, the surface of the Earth is now in a near-perfect vacuum. There is no more wind, no more weather, no sound. The silence is no longer just an absence of life, it is an absence of medium. A fundamental physical muteness has descended upon the world, and what of the oceans, the cradle of all life we ever knew? They do not freeze solid overnight. The process is a slow, majestic and terrifying one. A skin of ice forms, first thickening with each passing day. Within a few years, the ice cap is meters thick, then hundreds of meters. It grows downwards, a moving frontier of absolute cold, crushing everything in its path. The sheer weight of this expanding global ice sheet is immense, putting unimaginable pressure on the liquid water still trapped beneath. But this very process creates a strange and paradoxical sanctuary. The ice, growing to be miles thick over millennia, becomes an incredible insulator. It shields the water below from the absolute zero of space. While the surface temperature stabilizes at a hostile minus 240 degrees Celsius, a liquid ocean could in theory persist beneath this cryoshield. Locked in total darkness under pressures that would crush any submarine we ever built, a vast global subterranean sea. But what keeps it from freezing solid over the eons, The answer comes not from the sky, but from the heart of the Earth itself. Our planet has its own internal engine, a core of molten iron, a residual furnace of heat from its violent formation billions of years ago, sustained by the slow decay of radioactive elements. This geothermal heat, normally a tiny fraction of the energy we receive from the sun, now becomes everything. It is the planet's last faint pulse of warmth. This heat flows outward from the core, seeping through the mantle. It is not enough to warm the surface, not even by a fraction of a degree, but it is just enough to keep the deepest layers of the ocean from turning to ice. Earth is no longer a sun-warmed world. It has become a core-warmed one, a solid sphere of rock and iron wrapped in a deep, dark, liquid ocean, all sealed within a planetary shell of solid ice. This is our planet's final form as it begins its true journey. Freed from the sun's gravity, Earth becomes a rogue planet, a wanderer in the dark. Its trajectory is a straight line, a silent arrow shot into the cosmic dark. It drifts through the vast empty spaces between the stars, a ghost ship on an endless ocean. The journey is almost incomprehensibly lonely. The nearest star, Proxima Centauri, is over 4 light-years away. Travelling at our current orbital speed, it would take us over 100,000 years just to cross that distance, and the chances of ever being captured by another star system are infinitesimally small. For millions, perhaps billions of years, Earth will see nothing but the unchanging tapestry of the Milky Way. The constellations will warp and shift over these immense timescales, but from the frozen surface of our world, the view is one of breathtaking static beauty. A river of stars brighter than they ever appeared through our atmosphere stretches from horizon to horizon. There is no dawn, no dusk, no seasons, only the perpetual silent, majestic night of interstellar space. The Earth has become a time capsule, a museum of a world that once was. The frozen cities, the mountains, the valleys, all perfectly preserved beneath the layers of atmospheric snow and ice, safe from erosion and decay in the sterile vacuum. If another intelligence were to find this world billions of years from now, they would find a perfect, if chilling, record of our existence. But this raises the ultimate question. In this dark, frozen, wandering tomb, could anything have survived? Is it possible that in the one place shielded from the ultimate cold, in that deep, sunless ocean, life's tenacious spark might have refused to be extinguished? To find the answer, we must travel miles beneath the ice, into that abyss of absolute blackness and crushing pressure. Here there is no photosynthesis. The energy of the sun is a forgotten myth, but there is another source of energy. Along the deep ocean floors, where the tectonic plates grind against each other, there are fissures in the planet's crust, hydrothermal vents. Geysers of superheated mineral-rich water blasting up from the planet's molten interior. On the sunlit Earth, we knew these vents were home to bizarre ecosystems of extremophiles, creatures that did not depend on the sun at all. Their entire food web was built on a process called chemosynthesis. Bacteria and archaea, the oldest forms of life on our planet, would draw energy not from light, but from the chemical reactions between the volcanic fluids and the seawater. They metabolized sulfur hydrogen and methane, creating organic matter from the raw chemistry of the planet's core. These microbes formed the base of a pyramid of life supporting tube worms, blind crabs and ghostly fish, all thriving in total darkness. Here, then, is the last desperate hope. While the surface world froze into oblivion, could these deep-sea vent communities have continued oblivious? Their source of energy, the planet's inner fire, is independent of the sun. Their environment, the deep ocean, is now insulated by a miles-thick blanket of ice. It is a tantalizing, almost romantic possibility that in the final analysis, the first kind of life on Earth, chemosynthetic life in the deep sea, might also be the last. For millions of years, these lonely hydrothermal chapels could act as flickering candles in the planetary cathedral, nurturing the last vestiges of Earth's biology. Life reduced to a few scattered oases of warmth and chemistry on a vast, dark and otherwise dead sea floor. It's a powerful image, a testament to life's incredible resilience. But we must be ruthless in our scientific honesty. The odds are stacked insurmountably against it. The oceanic ecosystem, even in its deepest trenches, was intricately linked to the surface. The constant rain of organic material from the sunlit world above, known as marine snow, provided a crucial source of nutrients for many deep-sea creatures. With the entire surface biosphere flash frozen, the vital supply chain is severed forever. The food web would collapse for all but the most specialised vent organisms. Furthermore, as the ocean cools from the top down the global conveyor belt of currents that circulate oxygen and nutrients would grind to a halt. The deep ocean would become stagnant, anoxic, and chemically stratified. The vent ecosystems, already isolated, would become utterly marooned in a dead sea. They would be like tiny campfires in a boundless frozen desert, with no hope of ever connecting or repopulating the vastness between them. And even the vents themselves are not eternal. They are geologically transient, shifting with the tectonic plates lasting for centuries or millennia before shutting off. On the old Earth, when one vent died, its larvae could drift on the currents to colonize a new one. In this new static frozen ocean, the death of a vent would mean the final irreversible extinction of its entire unique community. One by one, over the long march of the coming millennia, these last embers of life would likely wink out. The bacteria might hold on the longest, burrowing deep into the rock of the seafloor itself, entering a state of near-suspended animation. But for any complex life, any echo of the vibrant biodiversity we once cherished, the prognosis is terminal. The hope for survival is not zero, but it is a sliver of a possibility so thin as to be statistically indistinguishable from zero. It is a beautiful but almost certainly doomed conjecture. So we are left with the final stark and inescapable truth. The removal of the sun is a near-total extinction event. Our planet, the only home we have ever known, the cradle of consciousness in this corner of the galaxy, is destined to become a sterile, frozen sphere. A mausoleum world carrying the exquisitely preserved remains of our civilization across the interstellar void. We are a memory of life adrift in a sea of stars that can offer no warmth, no comfort, no hope of landfall. The central question of our journey is answered. Earth's ultimate destiny in this impossible scenario is to be a wanderer, a dark orphan, a silent pilgrim on an eternal voyage through the great cosmic night. Its fires have gone out, its songs have fallen silent. All that remains is the cold, perfect, and everlasting dark. And so our world unmoored from its cosmic anchor drifts. The final shiver of geothermal warmth from Earth's core offers no comfort to the frozen surface, a landscape sculpted by absolute cold and shrouded in a darkness deeper than any night we have ever known. We have become a ghost ship on an infinite ocean, a rogue planet carrying a silent crystalline museum of a once vibrant biosphere. Every canyon, every mountain range, every frozen ocean is now a monument to a light that will never return. The other planets of our former family are out there with us, also cast adrift, but they are strangers now. Without the sun's unifying light to reveal them, Jupiter is just another cold, massive wanderer in the void, and Mars is a frozen speck we will likely never cross paths with again. The gravitational covenant that bound us together for 4.5 billion years has been irreversibly broken. We are utterly, completely, and finally alone, an icebound pebble hurled into the incomprehensible emptiness between the stars. This journey, this terrifying flight of imagination, has carried us through the final 8 minutes of sunlight and into an eternity of cold. But here in the silent aftermath of our hypothetical apocalypse, we must confront a fundamental truth, a saving grace woven into the very fabric of reality. The scenario we have just witnessed, the sudden magical disappearance of a star, is a physical impossibility. It cannot happen. A star like our Sun, a colossal sphere of incandescent plasma containing more than 300,000 times the mass of our Earth, cannot simply vanish. To do so would violate the most sacred laws of the universe, principles like the conservation of mass and energy, which declare that matter and energy can be transformed but never truly destroyed. Mass, especially on this scale, exerts a gravitational influence that is as fundamental to its existence as the space it occupies. It is an object's defining characteristic, and for it to be erased would require the unmaking of physics itself. And yet, it is precisely because this event is impossible that this thought experiment becomes so powerful. Its value is not in its prediction of a plausible future, but in the stark clarity it brings to our present. By imagining the removal of the keystone of our solar system, we are forced to see, perhaps for the first time, the breathtaking complexity and fragility of the arch it supported. We take for granted the intricate web of connections that tether us to our star, a web woven from threads of gravity, light energy and magnetism. It is a structure so pervasive and so constant that we live our entire lives without ever truly sensing its presence. Only by picturing its sudden absence can we begin to appreciate its profound and absolute necessity. We had to witness the darkness to finally understand the light. We had to feel the phantom tug of a planet set adrift to comprehend the invisible golden leash of gravity that has guided us through space for all of human history and for eons before. That gravitational bond was the first to break in our story, though its final ghostly message took 8 minutes to reach us. We tend to think of gravity as a simple force, a cosmic glue holding things in place. But it is so much more elegant than that. It is the language of mass, a constant conversation between celestial bodies written into the very geometry of space-time. The sun's immense mass creates a gravitational well, a deep depression in the fabric of the cosmos, and our Earth circles within it like a marble spinning around a vast invisible bowl. It is a perfect dynamic equilibrium, a gravitational gyroscope that has kept our climate relatively stable, our orbit predictable, and our world safe from the chaotic wanderings of the outer solar system. When our imaginary sun vanished, it wasn't just a force that disappeared. The architecture of our reality dissolved. The bowl flattened and we the marble were cast out in a straight line, our momentum carrying us away from the now empty throne where our gravitational monarch once reigned. This celestial anchor not only dictates our path through the galaxy, but also holds our planetary siblings in their own elegant orbits, creating a stable, predictable system, a cosmic neighbourhood. Without it, chaos would reign as planets, asteroids and comets, suddenly released from their orbital paths, would begin to drift their trajectories intersecting in unpredictable and potentially catastrophic ways. Then there is the light itself, the most obvious and immediate gift from our star. We call it sunlight, but that simple word belies its true nature. It is the universe's primary currency of energy, a constant shower of photons born in the unimaginable furnace of the sun's core. These particles of light embark on a journey of thousands of years to escape the sun's dense interior, only to cross the 93 million miles to Earth in a final fleeting sprint of 8 minutes and 20 seconds. When they arrive, they do more than just illuminate our world, they power it. Every blade of grass, every leaf on every tree is a sophisticated biological machine designed to capture this ancient light. The process of photosynthesis, the quiet miracle occurring all around us, uses this solar energy to transform carbon dioxide and water into the organic compounds that form the very base of our planet's entire food chain. It is the engine of all life. In our scenario, the moment the last photons completed their journey, that engine sputtered and died. Instantly, on a global scale, the fundamental process of creating new life-sustaining energy ceased. The planet's great green lungs exhaled one last time, and then fell silent. The plankton in the oceans, responsible for producing a vast portion of our oxygen, would have starved in the dark, their death triggering a catastrophic collapse that would ripple up through every marine ecosystem from the smallest krill to the great whales. On land, a similar inexorable wave of extinction would follow as herbivores found no more plants to eat, and carnivores in turn found no more herbivores. Life starved of its primary energy source would be extinguished in a cascade of silent cold starvation. Beyond this life-giving energy, the sun provides a protective embrace. Our star is not a gentle, placid ball of light. It is a raging, tempestuous nuclear reactor. It constantly ejects a stream of charged particles known as the solar wind, a cosmic gale that flows outward through the entire solar system. This wind is a lethal form of radiation that would strip away our atmosphere and scour the surface of our planet if it were to ever reach us directly. But it doesn't, because Earth has a powerful defender, our magnetosphere. Generated by the motion of a molten iron in our planet's core, this magnetic field acts as an invisible shield, deflecting the solar wind around us and protecting the delicate biosphere below. This epic ongoing battle between our planet's shield and the sun's gale is made visible to us in the form of the aurora, the ethereal curtains of light that dance in the polar skies. They are in essence the beautiful scars of a war that has raged for billions of years, a war that we are winning. If the sun were to vanish, the solar wind would cease, and this cosmic battle would end. The aurorae, our planet's most spectacular light show, would fade one final time, their disappearance a silent testament to the severing of yet another profound connection. Our magnetic shield would remain, but its dynamic interaction with the sun would be over, leaving our world strangely quiescent in the interstellar medium, a ship with its sails down in a windless sea. Our thought experiment, this impossible act of cosmic subtraction, reveals the sun not as a separate entity we merely orbit, but as an integral part of what Earth is. Its gravity defines our path and our stability. Its light defines our energy and our biology. Its stellar wind defines our planet's relationship with the hostile environment of space. We are not a lonely outpost near a star. We are an extension of that star's influence, a world born from the same nebular dust sculpted by its radiation and sustained by its ceaseless outpouring of energy. To remove the sun is to remove the heart of a living system, and we have seen how quickly and catastrophically the rest of the body would die. Now let us step back from this fictional precipice and turn our gaze toward the real, scientifically understood future of our star. The sun will not vanish. Its end will not be a sudden shocking blackout. Instead, its death will be a slow, majestic, and terrifyingly powerful process of transformation, a story written in the predictable laws of stellar evolution that will unfold over the next 5 to 7 billion years. For now, we live in the sun's long and stable adulthood. It is a main sequence star fusing hydrogen into helium in its core in a controlled self-regulating reaction that has remained remarkably consistent for nearly 5 billion years. This period of stability is the essential ingredient for the evolution of complex life. It has provided Earth with the long uninterrupted stretch of warmth and light needed for biology to experiment, to innovate, and ultimately to produce a species capable of looking up at that star and understanding its nature. We are the children of an unusually calm and predictable star living in its gentle, habitable zone. But this cosmic summer will not last forever. Eventually, the hydrogen fuel in the sun's core will begin to run out. The delicate balance between the outward pressure of nuclear fusion and the inward crush of gravity will be broken. Gravity will begin to win, compressing the core and causing its temperature to skyrocket. This new intense heat will ignite the shell of hydrogen surrounding the core, causing the sun's outer layers to expand dramatically. This is the beginning of the end. Our sun will swell into a red giant. This is a death not by ice and darkness, but by fire and fury. Over millions of years, the sun will grow, expanding 100, then 200 times its current size. Its surface will cool, turning it a deep, menacing red, but its sheer proximity will make it an all-consuming celestial blowtorch. From Earth, it would be a sight of ultimate horror and grandeur. The sun would fill our sky, no longer a distant circle of light, but a terrifying textured wall of fire stretching from horizon to horizon. The process on Earth would be a slow, methodical erasure. As the sun expands, its luminosity will increase dramatically. The oceans, our planet's cradle of life, will begin to warm. Soon they will reach a rolling boil, shrouding the entire planet in a thick, suffocating blanket of steam. This superheated atmosphere will trap even more of the sun's energy, triggering a runaway greenhouse effect that will raise surface temperatures to hundreds, then thousands of degrees. The very rocks will begin to melt. The atmosphere itself, energized by the intense heat and blasted by a much fiercer solar wind, will be slowly stripped away and cast out into space. Earth will be sterilized, its oceans boiled away, its continents melted into a uniform sea of magma, its air stripped to nothing. Whether our planet is ultimately swallowed by the sun's expanding outer layers or left as a charred, tidally locked cinder, orbiting a mere whisper away from its star's surface, is a matter of orbital mechanics still debated by astronomers. But in either case, the world we know, the blue and green marble teeming with life, will be gone forever, rendered utterly unrecognizable. After its colossal and destructive red giant phase, the sun will undergo one final, beautiful transformation. its outer layers having expanded far out into the solar system, will finally drift away, puffed off by the final thermal pulses from the dying core. For a few tens of thousands of years, this expanding cloud of gas and dust will be illuminated by the intensely hot core left behind, creating a breathtaking celestial object known as a planetary nebula. It is one of the universe's most sublime spectacles, a star's final, colourful, ghostly sigh. It is the cosmic equivalent of a flower blooming from a corpse, a fleeting moment of beauty born from an act of cosmic death. And at the centre of this fading ethereal artwork will be what remains of our Sun, a white dwarf. It will be an object of incredible density, the star's entire remaining mass compressed into a sphere no larger than the Earth. It will no longer generate new heat through fusion. It will simply be a cooling ember, a cosmic diamond radiating away its residual warmth over trillions of years until it becomes a cold, dark, black dwarf invisible in the eternal night. The planets that survive the gas giants in the outer solar system will continue to orbit this stellar ghost-silent sentinels in a dead system, their long watch a testament to the star that once gave them form and light. And so, we are left suspended between two vastly different endings. One is a physical impossibility, a sudden chilling theft of light and warmth that highlights our intricate dependency. The other is a scientifically certain reality, a slow, violent and ultimately beautiful end that underscores the inexorable and indifferent march of cosmic time. What this journey, both the real and the imagined, truly teaches us is the profound, almost unbelievable preciousness of the present moment. Our existence is a brief luminous flicker in the grand sweeping timeline of the universe. We live on a fragile world sustained by a complex and delicate set of cosmic circumstances, orbiting a star that is temporarily stable, but ultimately mortal. The sunlight warming your face right now is a message from the past, an 8-minute-old gift from the nuclear furnace that will one day consume its children. To understand this is not to be filled with despair, but to be struck with a sense of profound wonder and responsibility. It is to recognise that every sunrise is a temporary reprieve, that the stability of our world is not guaranteed, and that the intricate balance that allows for life is a rare and astonishing thing. And in this understanding, we find the true power of the human mind. We are a part of the universe that has evolved the capacity to look back at itself, to question its origins, to chart its future, and to even contemplate its own demise. We can run these terrifying what-if scenarios. We can model the physics of a dying star. We can use the power of science to peer into the abyss, to face the most profound cosmic terrors, not with fear, but with curiosity and comprehension. This ability to understand, to explore the darkness with the light of reason, is our species' most defining and hopeful characteristic. The sun will die, and the earth will perish. But the understanding we have gained on this journey through the final 8 minutes of our world is something we can hold on to right now. It is the awareness of our place in the cosmos, a deep and abiding appreciation for the fleeting, beautiful and fragile gift of being alive here and now under the steady light of a star. Undefined,